Welcome. I'm so glad you stopped by because I have some news for you. You don't want transformation. It's true. You think you want transformation, but this is what you really want. And we're going to chat about it in just a moment. Thanks for stopping by. Hi, I'm Leslie, and you're here at Lost in Wonder. This is the place to come if you're like me, ladies, and you're kind of in the second half of life with some questions, with maybe some uncertainty, maybe some confusion, overwhelm, disorientation, all those things we talk about. How to get through that. How instead of walking and getting lost in confusion, getting lost in concern, you get lost in wonder and you see what God is up to in your life, what He's been up to, what He's done in the past, what He's doing now, and what that could mean in your future. And that ties into today because look at us. Transformation sounds great. We all want it, it seems. But no, what we really want is formation. We want that part. We want the goodies. We want the formation, not the transition part that goes into transformation. That's the rough part, but let's talk about how this is essential and it's good for us. And again, as women who want to be resilient, who want to finish strong, let's talk about three things to keep in mind. When we are in a strange season that just doesn't seem like it's making sense, when we're in a place where we're kind of agitated, kind of feeling some disruption or maybe despair, whatever it is, be grateful. First thing, be grateful for awareness. Really, let's be aware of what our struggles are, not stuffing them, not scrolling them away, not eating them away. Let us be mindful and grateful that we are aware that something is not right. Now, again, that can be bad news. Oh, except it's not, because that's what happens when we start our transformation, our transition into formation. We have to be aware of what's going on. So, one point in my life, uh, things went crazy, sideways, upside down, completely different. I'd been in a marriage for years and years. I had kids. I was homeschooling, happy Christian family. And then, no. And then everything was different. No marriage, not as many kids, but they were teenagers. Yes, I was still a Christian, but wow, what a battle. And single mom in it. Yes. So all that was going on. Very strange and disruptive and disorienting. So part of what happened was I had to be aware, not hide, not run, not avoid, which I'm good at all of those. But one place I went, let me encourage you to deal with your awareness. There's a book called the Psalms. So if you ever go into a Bible, or if you've never been in a Bible, if you open like right in the middle, pretty much smack in the middle of a Bible, you're going to find this book called Psalms. And it's like reading someone's journals because it basically is. And it's a wonderful place to see how strategies and struggles and crying out in tears and victories all blend together. And you see how people get through. And sometimes it's not a happy ending, but there's always something to learn in the book of Psalms. Part of why I love Psalms so much, I used it in my book. I wrote a book about being lost all over the world, about the struggles of being confused when I was in the metro in Moscow or in the bottom of Africa. But Psalms is a book that will help point the way. And in my book, Lost in Wonder, I use the Psalms as kind of hopping off points or places to ponder more. So that's the first step. Be grateful. Yay, I'm aware. Okay, we can't stay there though. Awareness and messiness is something, but keep going. So, how about if next we kind of purposefully do some more digging? Psalms will help that again. My book might help too. Why? Why am I where I am? Why is this disruptive? Why is it uncomfortable? Why am I just all of that? Why? What's going on? So dig, dig, dig. No little quick fixes and happy faces and move on. No, let's take time and dig. So as we dig, we recognize, oh, okay, so I'm selfish and I'm lazy and I'm directionless. Oh, this is, yes, it's painful, but it needs to happen. So, what I found out was I was living, so I was now single. I had been aware of that. I parenting still, working hard still, awareness, yes. But then I had to say, now what's going on? So my fears of being an empty nester were starting to emerge. My anxiety of what will be next when I'm not a mom, when, huh, everyone leaves this house that I've bought and I love, but I'm in this town that isn't home in many ways. So dig, dig, dig. I ended up making a big plan, and part of that plan was going back to school. 30 years after I'd been in college, I returned. Whew, that was tough. It was rather humiliating. We'll get to that in the next point. But that was something I found after digging, that was something that could help me move through this time. So then the last thing, intentional action. So we've done some gratitude of our awareness, right? Recognizing what it is. We've done some purposeful digging about what is really going on. And then some intentional action can get moved in here, right? And start acting on what you've learned about yourself. You've probably spent time researching or talking to friends, maybe getting counseling, looking back at journals. You're getting some insight, and now it's time to act on that. What have you discovered? So I ended up going back for my master's and teaching English as a second language, which was a great fit. Long story about that, very short, is it was tough. I went back for my master's and my brain was pretty much a mess. I was physically exhausted from work, mentally exhausted from this, emotionally, all of that. But it had to be gone through. And even though I felt like I was on a little tricycle pedaling down the road as all the other students in the class were on their mountain bikes and all way beyond me, that was part of my process, because when I kept pedaling and kept learning and kept developing the skills I needed, I was equipping myself to become the person I needed to use those skills later when I lived abroad and taught students in other countries. And so there you go. There's some ways to recognize, as strange as this time might be, as much as we want a transformation, we got to go through the transitional part before the formation is in us. And so we want to be a person that can do this and this and this, and we want to be, but we have to also want the work and also want the persistence and also want the pain. Sorry, we really don't want transformation. We want the form, we want the change without the pain. But let's tweak that, ladies. Let's look at how instead we do want that. We want the process. We want to go through what we have to get to the other side. And so I'm encouraging you, take some time today. Think of ways that you are feeling agitated. Dig around as to why and see if you can take some steps into changing that, fixing that discomfort. If I can be of help, let me know. If you want to grab my book, if you want to comment down below, get in touch. Hey, we need to encourage each other. Life is about being curious about what's next. What's God up to? Life is about them being confident. Yes, I can do this. God's directing me. I'm looking into it. And then being courageous as we take more and more action and see life is a beautiful gift filled with wonder, filled with opportunity. So don't get lost in fear. Don't get lost in panic. Get lost in wonder. And come on back here and we'll see you next time.